She used a small amount of her menstrual blood in her stew. When she served it, something magical happened. Iya Shola was known all around her small town for her delicious food. She was 35 years old, a hardworking woman with a warm smile that invited people to her food store every day. From jollof rice to pounded yam with vegetable soup, her meals were the talk of the town. People came from all around to taste her dishes, and she was always busy. But Iya Shola wasn't always so popular. There was a time when her food didn't have the special taste it had now. In fact, she had struggled in the beginning, barely making enough money to feed herself. That was until she met the spirit. One fateful evening, as Iya Shola was walking back home from the market, she heard strange voices coming from the nearby river. She followed the sound, curious. When she reached the riverbank, she saw three women with long flowing hair sitting on stones, their feet dipping into the water. "We can make your food taste better," one of the women said, "but you must promise us something in return." Iya Shola was intrigued. She needed help. She agreed to their offer without asking too much questions. The women told Iya Shola that they were spirits from the river. They gave her a gift, the power to cook meals that no one could resist. But the spirits made it clear that in exchange for this gift, she must use her menstrual blood in her cooking. Iya Shola was shocked, but the promise of fame and fortune made her agree. "Use the blood in your cooking, and your food will be loved by all," the spirit said, disappearing into the water. The next day, Iya Shola followed the spirit's instruction. She used a small amount of her menstrual blood in her stew. When she served it, something magical happened. The food was more delicious than she had ever cooked before. The flavors were rich, and the aroma was so inviting that people started lining up at her stall. Within days, her food became famous. People from neighboring villages began to visit her store, and the money rolled in. As Iya Shola's fame grew, so did her fear. Deep inside, she knew what she was doing was wrong, but the power and wealth were too tempting. She felt the weight of the secret growing heavier with each meal she prepared. People praised her cooking, but Iya Shola knew that she was trapped by the pact she had made with the spirit. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. While Iya Shola's food continued to delight everyone, she began to feel more uncomfortable. She couldn't tell anyone about her secret, not even her closest friend. It weighed on her heart, and she started to have nightmares of dark, watery eyes staring at her. But every time she hesitated, the voices of the spirit would remind her of what she stood to lose. With each passing day, Iya Shola's business grew. Her store became the busiest in the town, and soon, people from even farther towns started making their way to her. She bought a bigger store, a better house, and wore clothes fit for a queen. But despite all the luxuries, she felt empty inside. She had everything she had ever wanted, but it didn't feel right. The spirits had promised her wealth, but they hadn't told her about the emptiness that came with it. One day, a curious customer named Titi came to Iya Shola's shop. Titi had heard rumors about the food and wanted to know why it tasted so special. She decided to follow Iya Shola and watch her cook. To Titi's horror, she saw Iya Shola performing a strange ritual, mixing her blood into the food. Shocked and disgusted, Titi quickly ran to tell others. As Titi told the townspeople what she had witnessed, whispers started to spread. People started to question Iya Shola's food. Was it really a gift from the spirit, or was there something darker behind it? The scandal grew like wildfire, and soon everyone knew. The next day, when Iya Shola opened her store, There was no one to be seen. No customers, no lines, just empty streets. Her reputation has been shattered. Iya Shola sat at her stall in shock. The once busy streets were silent. The customers who once praised her food now avoided her. They could not trust her anymore. She felt the spirit's anger. The pact had backfired. The fame and wealth she had gained so easily were now slipping through her fingers. Her food no longer tasted special, and no one came to her store. Iya spent the following days alone, pondering everything she had lost. The spirit had taken everything from her, leaving her with only the memories of her once prosperous life. She realized too late that the price of the power she had sought was too high. Her greed and desire for fame had blinded her to what truly mattered: her dignity, her relationship with others, and her peace of mind. That night, as Iya Shola sat crying, the spirits appeared before her. Their faces were twisted with anger. "You have broken the pact, and for that you will pay the price," they said. Iya Shola begged for forgiveness, but the spirits were unforgiving. "You will never find peace again," they warned. With that, they disappeared, leaving Iya Shola with nothing but regret. Iya Shola wandered through the town, feeling as though she had lost everything. People who once greeted her with smiles now avoided her. Her friends no longer spoke to her, and her once thriving business was down in ruin. Every night she lay awake, haunted by the spirit's words and the emptiness inside her. She walked to the river, where she had first encountered the spirits, hoping for some kind of redemption. But the river was silent, its water as cold and unmoving as her heart. Days turned into weeks, and Iya Shola began to realize that she had to start over. The life she had built on lies and deceit were gone, and now she was left with nothing but the simplest things: her cooking, her hands, and her heart. She decided to stop trying to impress others and just cook the food she loved, the way her mother taught her. But the customers still stayed away. Iya Shola's fame has been tainted, and no one trusted her anymore. Iya Shola could no longer bear the silence in her life. She began to regret the day she made the pact with the spirits. She thought about the time before the wealth and fame, when she had struggled but lived honestly. Those were the days when people respected her for her hard work, not her food. She walked to the market and bought fresh vegetables, hoping that her cooking, made with love, would somehow regain the magic it once had without the dark ingredients. Despite her best efforts, things did not improve. The people of the town would not give her a second chance. They looked at her with suspicion, whispering amongst themselves. Shola began to feel like an outcast, a shadow of the woman she once was. She tried to explain herself to a few old friends, but no one wanted to listen. They remembered her for the secret she had hidden, and nothing could change that. One day, as Iya Shola sat by her stove, an old woman named Mama Singh came to visit. She was a wise woman who had lived in the village for many years. She sat down beside Iya Shola and looked at her with understanding eyes. "I have seen the sorrow in your heart, child," Mama Simi said softly, "and I know what you have done, but it is not too late to seek forgiveness." Iya Shola listened carefully as Mama Simi spoke of redemption and the importance of returning to the truth. "The spirit will not forgive you unless you make things right with the people you have hurt." Iya Shola took Mama Simi's advice to heart. She went around the town, visiting each person who she had wronged. With humility and sincerity, she apologized for her actions. She explained that she had been blinded by greed and had lost sight of what truly matters. Some people forgave her while others turned their back, but the more she apologized, the more she felt the burden lifting off her shoulder. She knew it would take time, but she was ready to rebuild. Iya started cooking again, but this time without any dark secrets. She used fresh ingredients and made simple, hearty meals. Slowly, word began to spread that she was back to her old ways, cooking with love, not with magic. Some of the people who had once abandoned her began to return. They came not just for the food, but for the woman who had learned the hard way about the value of honesty. One day, as Iya Shola served a bowl of soup to a customer, she noticed something different. The taste of her food was still as good as it has ever been, but there was something else, something pure in the flavor. The joy of cooking had returned to her heart, and that made all the difference. Her store was still small, but it was filled with warmth and kindness. The customers who returned were not just there for the food, they were there for the woman who had learned to live with integrity. Mama Simi returned one last time to Iya Shola's store. She smiled as she watched the change in the once ashamed woman. "You are on the right path now," she said. "The spirits may have given you their power, but it is your heart that will guide you to true greatness." Iya Shola nodded, grateful for the wisdom that has been shared with her. She had learned that true success came from honesty, not from shortcuts. Iya Shola decided to return to the river one final time. She stood by the water, calling out to the spirits. Though she knew they would not answer, she apologized to them too for breaking their pact. She thanked them for the lessons they had taught her, though it had come at such a high cost. As she turned to leave, the river seemed to calm, and for the first time, Iya Shola felt at peace. Over time, Iya Shola's reputation began to heal. The people of the town began to trust her again, and more customers came to her store. They knew that she had made mistakes, but they also saw that she had worked hard to become a better person. Her food, simple and honest, became even more popular than before. It was no longer just the taste that drew people to her store, it was the warmth of her heart that had returned to her cooking. One day, as Iya Shola was closing her store, she was greeted by a familiar face, her younger brother, who had moved away years ago. He had heard about her struggle and came to offer his support. He hugged her tightly, telling her how proud he was of her for turning her life around. It was a reminder to Iya Shola that family, love, and support was far more valuable than fame or fortune. Iya Shola sat on the steps of her store, watching the sunset with a heart full of gratitude. She had lost everything, but she had also gained so much more in return. She understood now that true success was not measured by wealth, but by the impact she had on others. Though she had worked hard to rebuild her life, Iya Shola still carried the scars of her past, but with each act of kindness, with every smile she shared, the pain grew less. She had healed in ways that were more important than any material possession. Iya Shola found peace in the simple things, the laughter of children as they played nearby, the gentle breeze that blew through the trees, and the sound of her cooking pot simmering with delicious food. She no longer sought fame or wealth. Instead, she found joy in helping others, cooking for those she loved, and sharing her story with anyone who would listen. Years passed, and Iya Shola became a beloved figure in her village. She taught the younger generations the importance of honesty, integrity, and hard work. Her food was no longer just famous for its taste, but for the love and care that went into it. Her legacy lived on, not in the richness of her meals, but in the richness of her character. One evening, as Iya Shola sat with her grandchildren, she told them the story of her past. She spoke of the pact with the spirits, the lessons she had learned, and the importance of living an honest life. "Remember," she told them, "the true magic lies not in what you have, but in who you are and the kindness you show to others." Yashola spent the rest of her days cooking with joy and sharing her wisdom. Her heart was light and her soul was at peace. She had learned the greatest lesson of all, the value of integrity. And as the sun set on her life, she knew that she had lived a good, honest life. Thank you for watching. If you find this story interesting, please comment where you are watching from, like the video, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.